All right, so I want to address this issue of no-till gardening. No-till gardening is a system where instead of tilling up or digging up dirt in your garden, you layer stuff in such a way so that you basically build your own soil layer. You add things like wood chips and pretty much any compostable material, and you build up your own soil. Now, there's nothing wrong with this method. No-till, I think, is a fantastic method, but there are some drawbacks to it, and one of the things that really drives me nuts about no-till is that a lot of its adherents have an almost cult-like behavior toward this gardening method. Now, that's nothing unusual. People are really passionate about how they garden, but I've seen a lot of the no-till people act as though if you till your garden, you're damaging the earth, you're ruining the planet, you're a terrible person for digging in your garden. And I'm here I just want to check their privilege a little bit, because I think that's just absurd. I mean, there are a lot of advantages to no-till, but there's also advantages to tilling. Okay, so I do a little no-till here. So I'm gonna angle this. I really don't want to have to edit the video, but you see here, this is my compost pile. I decided to grow some cucumbers in this. They're doing pretty good, getting a little eaten up with the insects, but this is just an experiment. But I've been working on this compost pile for about 3 months now, and this is about the level that you'd want to no-till at. You can't really see for all the weeds, but it's about, I don't know, like a foot high. That's about where you would want a no-till garden to come up to. Maybe a little shorter than that. But so this is an example of no-till. I got these cucumbers here, if you can see them, and I got my other, composting crap there. But you can see this isn't a lot of space to garden in. Now I could cram this with a lot more stuff. I've just put 3 cucumber plants out here for now. But you can see this is not a lot of space for a lot of inputs. It took months to build up this compost pile. Now I have another compost pile. This one I built up over 3 years, not just 3 months. And I don't know how well you can see it. It's I've used up a bunch of it. It's got weeds and other crap growing in it. But but that's about the height also that you'd want a no-till garden. It took tons of inputs. Because the thing about compost, especially in a hot environment like Tennessee, you build stuff up to like this point, you build it up to here, and it shrinks down to this over time. So now I want you to look behind me. Now, this compost pile right here, now granted it was filled all the way to the brim just a few months ago, but this huge garden here is being fed from that compost pile. So here's the problem with no-till, and why I don't think it's practical for a lot of people, is that the same amount of compost, you could have a little 4 foot by 4 foot garden, or you could have this enormous football field sized garden. And I've been growing beans, tomatoes, corn, tons of butternut squash, all successfully, mostly based off the fertility in this compost pile. Okay. Now, some people will say, oh, well, you're destroying the earth doing that. You're destroying the soil. Well, the reality is that, you can build up soil while also, you can build up soil while you till, because I've been adding amendments to this. If you look over here, you can see some cover crop I'm started growing. Now this cover crop I'm going to let grow up, and then I'll cut it down, and it's going to rot in place and build up my soil. And I also put my grass clippings out here. All this garden waste, a lot of it can just rot in place and build up the soil. Yeah, runoff and things like that are a real problem. There can be, but you can also build up a tilled garden in a responsible way. So, all I'm saying here is, for the no-till people who are just really die-hard about it, you do you, but you shouldn't go around and, judge people and get all high and mighty about your own gardening method, because while it may work great for you, not everyone can get all these amendments. For instance, if you're familiar with the Back to Eden gardening system, my son's whistling for me. If you're familiar with the Back to Eden gardening system, the system is you stack up like 6 inches of wood chips and let them rot down over time. Okay, to make a garden that big, as big as mine out there, I would probably have to take all these trees, chop them down, throw them in a wood chipper. You know, now is that environmentally sound? Is that not doing some damage to the earth? I mean, because, you know, a lot of these trees are skinny. It would take a lot of these trees chipped up to fill that much space and provide that much food for my family. So, you know, no system is perfect and no system is flawless. So, you know, the next time, you know, you want a gun and rag on somebody for, you know, tilling or digging, just remember, it's fine for you, but you know, you shouldn't be too judgy of other people's gardening methods. The important thing is growing your own food in some capacity and getting a yield. That's what matters. All right, thanks for listening.